As of yesterday, she is the first minister in the UCC, maybe, because it's the first one in Oregon, to be a certified chaplain for walking with people and psychedelic experiences. It's a new certification program that was built in Oregon because of the laws here. And I know some other people who are working on it, but Molly is the first in the UCC. So Molly is also the chair of our Justice and Witness and Ministries team, and so she's going to present now the Justice and Witness Ministry Award.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone who submitted nominations this year. We had a lot to choose from. Our Justice and Witness team this year talked about what it means to receive an award. And as we were talking about it, we had several folks, I don't know if I'm allowed to call them out, who said that maybe justice work isn't done solo. And maybe we do this together. And that in so doing, isn't honoring one person really antithetical to the whole point here, that it isn't just one. And so we asked for nominations for teams, groups, or churches that were doing rad stuff. And we got so many nominations. I had initially thought, like, maybe we could read all of the nominations and everything y'all were doing. It was really informative for the Justice and Witness team to know what y'all are up to. So, like, let us know more often. Because, wow, we were so blown away. The winner this year, though, was nominated as a whole church. And I want to invite their pastor up to receive the award. Reverend Vicki Stifter from Riverside, UCC. The nomination form asked, tell us about the work that they've done to engage justice and or witness this year. And the nomination begins, well, they began with an idea to create purple signs that said, I'm an immigrant, soy immigrante, and get people in their town to post them. And through listening and community building, they changed to yellow yard signs. Some of you are aware. Banners, car flags that say, we are immigrants. Somos inmigrantes. They worked to get people along a particularly well-trafficked corridor in their town to participate, literally mapping the route they wanted to target and knocking on doors. This created a sense of community buy-in and saturation, to the point that some locals now call that corridor Somos Inmigrantes Way. They also connected this to the reckoning with racism work that their church had already done, and the relationships they had with the descendants of people who were interned for being Japanese. This resulted in an event at the cemetery, where descendants participated and placed yellow signs on the graves of people interned. And the community recommitted to never again be silent. How have they made an impact? They've been told by Latine members of their town that this has given them courage to remain strong and living in Hood River. The team is also in the process of sharing their story with others, hoping to spread this to other small towns and cities, and I know it's already reached Portland, which is not a small town, and we're hanging the signs. Reverend Vicki, and those representing Hood River, congratulations. am I saying thank you or am I doing the presentation? Okay.
Hood River is one of also the 4 churches that we have asked to share this weekend about their experience of creating Refugia, or a Refugia in their city. And so now, after receiving the award, we're going to invite Pastor Vicki to tell you the story of this event. And she has some slides, and we'll hear a little more deeply about that experience.
I was tricked. We were told that we were invited to come and share about the campaign, which I thought I was doing tomorrow morning. And as we were leaving the boundary training at about 3:30, Tyler said, do you have any questions about tonight? And I said, tonight? So I was tricked into doing it tonight. Anyway, thank you. Touches my heart. And I really wish that our campaign team could all be here, just too far away to get other folks here. But we have an incredible team. I'm going to do a presentation, and that'll give you a sense of the depth and breadth of the community support, both from within our congregation and outside of our congregation. But I want to start by saying I stand here today as the great-great-granddaughter of an immigrant who came from Germany and Austria, grandparents who came from Germany and Austria. And we start every presentation about Somos Inmigrantes with that statement, and then I invite y'all, and I'm going to invite you, not everybody. This is not a genealogy thing, but I'd like you to stand up and just call out where your people are from. With the understanding, this campaign is based on our understanding that, with the exception of Native Americans, we are all immigrants on this land. Some of us were forced here, some of us came here voluntarily, our parents or grandparents, but none of us sprouted up out from the soil here. So I'm just going to invite you to start in the back of the room, and just, if you want to just stand up, and we'll do it popcorn style, so you can talk at the same time if you want. But where are your people from? Where are your people from? Just stand and shout it out.
Japan. Germany and Switzerland.
Barbados.
Ireland and Switzerland. Turkey.
You can move it on up.
Scotland.
Ukraine.
Germany, Scotland, my family got around. Ireland, Finland, and Spain.
Italy.
Ireland.
Germany, Netherlands, UK, France.
British Isles.
British Isles and Germany.
England, Scotland, Germany, and Holland.
Almost there. Austria and Switzerland. Germany.
England, Germany, Wales, and Scotland.
Germany, Ireland, Czechoslovakia.
Netherlands, British Isles.
England, Germany.
Western Africa.
British Isles.
Germany and England.
Germany, British Isles.
Scotland.
Poland. No one said Poland yet.
Anybody?
England, Switzerland, Scotland, and Switzerland, Scotland, England, and like Holland area.
England and France.
You forgot your mom's side.
Scotland.
All right, we're not fighting about this. Anybody else? Sweden. Okay.
Mexico, Spain,
Good job.
and the tribes of the Anasazi and the territory of Mexico.
Thank you. Anybody else up here?
To no one's surprise, Irish.
Irish. All right.
Thailand.
Thailand. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, behind each of those kind of popcorn style, there are a lot of stories, real people. Pressures, pushing, pulling, and all kinds of stuff. So thank you for sharing that. So Andy, would you be willing to go on talking, back to the back counter and bring forward one of the signs, one of the yard signs? So I have a number of slides I'm going to share with you, which is I'm going to use to tell the story of the campaign. Basically, we started with the belief that we are all immigrants. There's a thing happening in our culture where, it's like, oh, well, we're the good immigrants, we came before, and these people, and it's like, no. So we're trying to break that down, and to help those who are more recent immigrants who are feeling especially vulnerable right now feel supported in our community. This is the story of how we came to be. So this is the graphic that we've ultimately landed on. We started with a singular statement, I am an immigrant. So we had, you can go to the next slide. This is how we began. Every year we have an interfaith Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Cinta has been our gospel ensemble leader for a number of years. We have a community gospel ensemble. We take up an offering and we try to cover our expenses, and at the end of this last year we had $300 left over. Our team met to decide, to evaluate the Martin Luther King Jr. event and then to decide what to do with the $300 that we had. And we had a meeting, talked about the Martin Luther King event, how incredibly powerful it was this year and how desperate people felt. Given our current political reality. And so we're kind of wrapping up the meeting. I can't remember what we decided to do with the $300, but one of the, Graciela Gomez, who's a dear friend and an incredible community organizer, was telling some stories at the table about how people were feeling about what was happening. This is back in January, but just the fear. And as she was talking about that, we were packing up our stuff, I remember this story that had come to me about what happened in Billings, Montana in the 90s, when there were a number of hate crimes that were committed. The final third of them was there was a brick that was thrown through the window of a Jewish family's home when they had displayed a menorah. And so if you go, you can move, so that was the inspiration, was remembering that story. And then people came out in the community in Billings, and you can go online and just check this out. But they came out in droves. There were these beautiful pictures of people in all their traditional garb holding menorahs. So you have people of all various traditions, Native Americans in there, and everybody was out. And the newspaper got on board in Billings, and they printed menorah in the paper. And so people cut it out, and the story goes that there were about 10,000 menorahs that were around Billings, Montana. This is in the 90s, and there were about 50 or 60 Jewish families in the area at that time. So I was sharing that story, and I was like, oh, what could we do that would show that kind of solidarity with people, that we're not going to let them be alone? So as we were wrapping up the meeting, this idea of, well, could it be I am an immigrant? And so, why don't you go ahead? So we decided in the end of January that we would create some signs that said, I'm an immigrant, and we would have a kickoff. This was in March. And we would have people at the end of the event come up to a map and put, where their people came from. And we had some stories. That's Graciela, where is she, over here in the left corner. But we're sharing stories about the campaign and why we're doing it. And we didn't know how many people were going to show up. This was just come y'all. And we had 125 people at least. Can you take the next picture, show the next spot? So these were the initial signs that we created. I am an immigrant, soy migrante, and the idea was that people would put them in their homes in the windows. And so that started finally so with $300 we were able to buy, I think 500 of them. So we started rolling and we asked for donations and we got donations. And then somebody said, you know, my window can't be seen from the street. I really would like a yard sign. Could you do a yard sign? So we said, okay, well now we have enough money to get 100 yard signs. Do you think we can do 100 yard signs? Will people take 100 yard signs? So we did yard signs, and you can go to the next one. And so the yard signs started going all over the place. At this point in time, we have more than 2,000 yard signs and window signs that are out in the community. And then we started talking with some of our Japanese American neighbors who we had gotten to know through the Reckoning with Racism work that we'd done. And Hood River was considered probably the harshest place on the West Coast for people of Japanese American descent. Before, during, and after the war. We have some families that came back, but very few, and there's a horrible, horrible, despicable stories about what happened in our town. Most people don't know about that, but we made a connection with our Japanese American neighbors, and so they said, well, you know, on Memorial Day weekend, we go up and we clean the graves of all of our ancestors, and all of them were detained. And they said, you know, how about you come up with this signs and we do a community event, educational event, both to educate people about the history of what happened, and then to make the tie with current day reality. So then it became a basically not only a kind of one-off, like, oh, this would be a solidarity thing, but this is an opportunity for us in Hood River, in the Gorge, to reclaim or rewrite history. There were ads in newspapers, big, huge ones, where people would pay to have their name put in that told Japanese Americans in harsh terms that I won't use, that they were not to come back. And people actually sent in money so that their name could be listed in our newspaper. You can go in the archives and find them. So this was a reclamation project. So then we had, anyway, it was an intergenerational number of then and now piece. So you can go ahead.
Vicki,
Yeah.
I think it's important to point out, or are you going to do that about that section of the graveyard?
Oh, yeah. So this section of the graveyard, this section of our cemetery was segregated. It no longer is, but for many, many years it was segregated, and all the Japanese American folks had to be in that section. So.
Including all the veterans.
Yes, including all the veterans, and I could go on and on, but I don't have that long. So anyway, then we were able to get a really beautiful piece in the Columbia Gorge News, Never Again Is Now, and so that's that. And then somebody said, well, how about businesses? We should start trying to get businesses to put these in their windows and try to get businesses to show that they're, you know, a safe place and that they're welcoming. That's been really interesting. If you come to the river, look for the signs, go to the places that have the signs in the window. Not every place does. This is the first restaurant. If you go down to the waterfront, Solstice Woodfire Pizza is the place to go. They were the early adapters right away. They said absolutely, and they put a sign in front of their business. We have about 35 to 40 businesses now that have window signs, and that's spread. Some in the Dalles, mostly in Hood River, and there's some in White Salmon, and some. But that's been really fascinating because there are many, many businesses that have said no. And we can talk about that if you want to, but that's interesting. There is not universal support, and there is an extraordinary amount of fear, even among those you would not think are particularly vulnerable at this time. Okay, so that's moving on to the businesses, and you can go to the next one. Then we took a resolution to the Hood River City Council and asked for their support. It was very much in line with earlier statements that they had made about being an inclusive community. So the Hood River City adopted a proclamation. We've gone to the County of Hood River, and they've declined, saying that it's outside their statutory authority. So we're going back, but in any event, this was the city. And we had some testimony from folks who are first generation. I mean, all of this has been done in collaboration with our partners in the Latino community and Japanese American community, but we had some extraordinary testimony from people who talk about what it's like to see these signs in the community. So you can go to the next one. Then White Salmon across the river adapted this. They didn't adopt, we didn't go to them with We Are Immigrants before we even got a chance to do that. One of the city councilors there in White Salmon adopted a resolution that was very strong. That it doesn't mention the campaign in particular, but that's the mayor of White Salmon, right? Or Mayor Bingen, mayor of White Salmon? Andy? White Salmon, who got a sign and walked in the 4th of July parade in White Salmon.
That's Bingen.
That's Bingen.
Yep.
Okay, anyway. And then we had a contingent in Hood River. One of the biggest, most integrated events that we have in Hood River every year, public events, is the 4th of July parade. It's one of the few times publicly that I've seen otherwise a very segregated community in terms of our interaction in social events. But 4th of July is distinct. Can you go to the next one? So we got a bunch of folks to created some big banners and had more than 50 people who were in the 4th of July parade. And this is a huge deal. Like, there are thousands of people lined on the side of the streets going downtown. And I was out of town, but the people who participated, who've been in many parades, holding many different signs, said that they were in tears when they rounded the corner, the first corner where there's a lot of folks, that people that stood up and gave a standing ovation, and a lot of them were Spanish-speaking folks, were newer immigrants, so it was very powerful. So that's the 4th of July, and then you can go to the next one, 4th of July. And these are and then we've worked with neighborhoods. They identified a major S-curve in town as our first one. And we have churches, St. Mark's, Bethel, Andy's church, this church Andy serves is there, and then businesses and homes, and it's spread. So, is there one more? Oh, this is the big deal. Okay, so then, you might have... See it?
I saw it.
I've heard from a number of people who reached out and said, I was driving through and I saw it. It's not up anymore. They gave it to us. It's this long story of, somebody said, oh, I think I know the person who owns the billboards, and it turns out that he is an immigrant whose Jewish ancestors fled. Some were Holocaust survivors, so he donated the space. They didn't have anybody willing to pay for it at the time, so we had it for, 3 or 4 weeks. Now it's paid for, so it's down. But,
There's another one.
there is another one?
There is another one somewhere that's open,
There is another one?
like a billboard
Oh.
that's open.
Okay, well, we're working on it. We want to get one closer to the river. How much time do I have? Because I really, honest to God, I could go on, but I don't want to take. Am I close? Okay. So then we met with groups in the Dalles, and that we have a table of folks who've been at the farmer's market every single Saturday all summer long. So this is a big, broad effort. You can keep going. And at all of our First Friday events. And just most recently, the Gorge magazine, which you can pick up for free all around town, did an article about the campaign. And I think that's the last. Okay.
Wow.
Maybe one or two questions. But the one question that I want to ask you is, can people reproduce this in their own town?
Yes, please. So in the back, on the left-hand side, I have yard signs, and I have, for those of you who'd like car flags, we have car flags. We ask for a $10 donation, which helps us make more. Those are in the back. We have buttons, you can leave a buck or two, stickers. And we have had people come from all over the country now who reached out to us, and instead of, we had somebody from Minnesota who stopped by and wanted to take some signs back to his community, and we were like, yes, here, take some, and we will share the artwork, the graphics, which have been created without charge, and you can put on your own QR code, because this QR code takes you to our website and the Somos Inmigrantes page, so we absolutely will share it with anybody. We do the small ones, the window signs we do locally, but these guys we do through Vistaprint, so anybody can, I mean, there's no magic to getting them done. Emerge, which is the, Adam stands for?
Interfaith Movement for Immigrant and Refugee Justice.
Okay.
Interfaith Movement for Immigrant and Refugee Justice.
Emerge was, I was contacted by a staff person there who said that they're interested in trying to get a greater presence of this campaign in the Portland area. There's no reason it can't be replicated everywhere, many places, so, yeah.
Thank you. Is there one other question?
I'll do it.
Okay,
Let me give you a mic.
okay.
Of course, that was a question. Love that.
It's more of a comment. I drove through the Dalles this summer, and there was a big billboard of someone else. Yeah? And so I love that you have the billboard in the Dalles to try to balance out
Yeah,
and overcome the someone else
yeah.
who shall not be named.
Yeah. Amen. So I'm happy to talk with y'all if you're interested, but please help yourself. We've got window signs and yeah, we're interested in spreading this and
I do have a question.
Oh, there's another question.
Just another quick question. Given that times have changed since you started this, I live in Woodburn, so I know I can't put that yard sign out in front of my house because my neighbors fall into that category, and I'm trying to protect them from having anyone come by and say, oh, we need to talk about this here. So what, how's that impacted you?
so we have more recent immigrants who have chosen to put signs in their windows and some who haven't. The idea was that we can't make that decision, obviously, for anybody. My standpoint is I'm very privileged, and I need to have a sign, and so people need to decide. I think it's a conversation. If you're in conversation with your neighbors, because people feel both ways. There are people who have stood up and said, no, I am an immigrant and I'm proud of it. And so I think it's individual choice on that front. And yeah.
I think there's also a little bit of, you know, the campaign with the idea for this that came from buildings was that if everybody has a menorah in their window, then it's saying, like, don't target the people with menorahs, because that's all of us. And so there's a sense in which, and I think one of the things that Hood River did, that Riverside did, that was really powerful, is that they worked really hard to get critical mass. And they were like, if we could get all the people on this corridor, let's like actually knock on doors and just like target and really blanket this whole neighborhood. Then there's a critical mass, and it's harder for Immigration and Customs Enforcement to like see through the noise, right? And they also see like there's a lot of people who don't want me here.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, I have to say that we have a Mari Ruth Petzing, who's an immigration attorney, who the Hood River City Council was like, you know, but if we adopt this resolution, aren't we bringing ourselves more into the public eye? And she's like, hey, guys, silence isn't working. Silence isn't working. So, yeah.
Of Refugia, the earth regenerating itself. This song, I was reminded of this song, and Sunta agreed to sing it with me, and Rob will play it, but we really invite you to join in. It's a simple tune, and I think you'll pick it up quickly, and the words are on the screens.